I'm also Mariam. What's going on with your husband?
I mean, I'm sure you know his side of the story.
And I want to get yours. So
yeah, it's probably true.
Okay.
What he said.
What do you think he told me? Like, I'm just trying to get your side, okay?
We've been going through this for 3 years.
Yeah,
it's
it sounds like it
hasn't gone this far. I don't know. I'm sure he told you everything. He's really good at building cases against me. Okay. He's a very smart man.
Okay, so what from your perspective, what happened?
He knows how to push me past my limits and manipulate me to the point to where I finally break, and then he does stuff like this.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, like in general, that this is like an ongoing thing. But what about today? How did he do that today?
Trying to threaten that he's going to have full custody of our children.
Okay.
Is that a reason enough for you to snap?
Right. And first of all, he was saying that he's going to take them to the daycare. You know, he was going to take them to the daycare on post. So that's not saying he wants full custody. He's telling you don't worry about it. I got him. So you're taking that and using that as to say he wants full custody of the children. That had nothing to do with that. Somebody's lying right here.
Okay, so when I first heard this, I was thinking maybe there could have been a pre-existing conversation, but on videotape that escaped it, or that happened prior. That could have happened prior to this particular situation. So I'm wondering if somebody's lying, or maybe if it's just not in context because it's not on camera. I know it's hard to tell because we're not inside their homes, and so there's a lot of things we're not going to know. But I think there's more questions than answers. But you know what? They always say you keep somebody talking. When I say less, that's what I mean, because somebody's gonna talk, and if it's not you, you give people enough time and rope to hang themselves. Just let them keep talking.
And if it's so annoying to things that he's been probably threatening to her about taking the children, I know that she said when she was speaking to the officer, she was setting him up by saying he's manipulative, he's controlling. She wanted to let her know how she feels about her husband as a way of deterring the fact that she put her hands on him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it just sounds like to me you're the most manipulative person, because why would you start off with that? Why not start off by saying, I'm apologizing, he pissed me off, and I touched him.
And that's why I said when she pulled up, I said I think she's trying to get ahead of this thing. You know what I'm saying? She was the whole way there in my eyes. I believe that she was trying to just formulate the story in her head. So like you said, the one thing she realized, whether she thought he had the guts enough to go to the police department or not, she at some point realized, okay, well, I am on camera. So chances are they've already seen this. Now, how am I going to stay my butt out of jail and salvage the little career that I got, or the little time in the military that I do have?
And save face at the same time.
Yes. Come on with it, Laverne.
Big mess.
Big mess. Let's go.
Not say that exactly, but don't worry about it. I got it. The words that he says, I don't even know how to put it in word for word right now.
Okay. So you feel like he was provoking you?
Of course, he always does.
Okay, so how did the argument start?
He accuses me of stuff that's not true.
Okay.
And he sees tiny parts of little stories or little stuff that goes on, and then he makes his own story in his mind as if it's true, and it's not. And I don't know how much longer, I can't even plead my case because he will bring up another thing on top of that. Can we talk privately now?
Yeah, we can step off to the side here. We can't go inside right now. I'm not
going to have you put all your business up right here.
So
here's another thing I want to add. She wants to step aside. She is embarrassed. She don't want to see people talking to her. And because she knows she did something wrong, so she's ashamed. Her asking the officer to step aside to speak in private is a sign of her being ashamed. That's one thing I want to say. Another thing is when she said her husband see bits and pieces of things and he adds them up and put in his mind what he wants to believe. He has no business, number one, finding bits and pieces of nothing. Is he finding bits and pieces of your social media stuff, of the dudes talking to you and adding in his head or imagining that you are with someone else? Why are you giving him this ammo to feel these uncertain feelings about your relationship? Okay, sis, she got to straighten up.
Hey, come on now. Come on. Let's go.
He was accusing you of things, right?
It's not true, and I'm just sick of it.
Yeah. So and then what happened after that? So you guys were arguing.
I'm sure you've seen videos and stuff.
I'm trying to get your perspective because it's not fair.
She's trying to figure out what she's got. She's trying to figure out trying to gauge a temperature and see how bad is this? What do I have to pull out in order to mitigate my damages here? But
yes,
the officer is really she's experienced and she has an eye and an ear to where she is really, she knows exactly. She kind of she sees where she's going with this, and they are trained for a certain type of line of questioning, and she's sticking to that. So kudos to the officer for that as well.
And it seems like so far the mama or the wife is the one that's being manipulative in this situation thus far.
That part, definitely manipulation involved. Let's go.
For me to only get one side of the story when there are at least two sides of the story.
I'm sick of. I was for so long a stay-at-home mom, living in his shadow, and I finally just am becoming.
Okay, stay right here for just 1 second. Okay, I want to hear what you have to say, but give me 1 minute. Okay. So like I said, there are at least two sides to every story, right?
I noticed she went right into her phone. And she looked up with a straight face. I peeped that observation. That's all I wanted to say. I don't want to stop it every 5 seconds, but you know, everything matters. It's like there are definitely, this is in real time. This is a body cam. So it's like you being there and the things that you can pick up on and, like whether they're flags or whatever, I think it's all relative.
And I think the reason why she picked up her phone is because she knows she's caught. She have an idea that she may be going to jail. So I'm thinking that she's reaching out for a lifeline, maybe a family member or something. So that just in case she goes to jail, she have a backup plan, because he's the only backup plan that she really have in life for real.
Yes. And there is mention later on in the video, we may or may not get to that point, but she states to the officer that they relocated, so she does not have family or a support system in wherever they moved to and relocated to. She speaks that. She says that. So you're right on point with that, Laverne.
And it's not fair for me to only have one person's side. Okay. I understand you guys have ongoing issues.
Can you tell me what's going on after this?
I am investigating a domestic violence incident. That's a start. Okay. And what's happening right this moment is I'm trying to get your side. Okay.
I don't know. I don't really have a side. There's nowhere I can go. He's trying to kick me out of our house. I cannot leave. There's nowhere for me to go.
Okay.
Clearly, she was trying to divert attention away from her role in the altercation. She believed that by creating confusion, she could escape the consequences of her actions. However, instead of making things easier for her inconsistent statements only complicate the situation. Despite her attempts to mislead the officer remained calm and professional. He allowed her to speak for as long as needed, but carefully noted everything she said. As the woman spoke, she eventually admitted that the argument with the man had started because of issues involving child safety and custody. This added a sensitive and emotional layer to the case, which made the situation more complex.
Now, he said you have friends in the area. I'm not kicking you out of your house, just to be clear.
I'm talking to the police officer. Mom, I'm talking to a police officer. He has friends too. We both have friends.
Again, I'm not taking sides.
I know. I don't have anywhere to go.
Okay.
I have family that live on the West Coast in California and Nevada.
Okay. So you guys are arguing. Okay. And is this how it usually goes? You guys argue and then it escalates?
No. I mean, we'll argue, but we're quick to get over it. It's just, I see your prior service. I'm military as well. I'm a reservist. I had a weekend. I just graduated to drill sergeant in Cat.
Go ahead, sis.
Okay, so She just graduated from the military academy as a drill sergeant, which means she is around a bunch of men and women that her husband don't know, right? And it seems to me that she's extra friendly with these people. And that's where the problem lies. Although I heard her say about child custody and all this and all that, I'm wondering, have he ever caught her before cheating? Or has she
Yeah,
caught
well, I didn't mean to cut you short, sis, but at the very beginning of the conversation with the officer, he said that he had caught her cheating before. So if
Okay, gotcha.
it's
So
true to
of
what he's
course,
saying, then she has a history of it, which would definitely explain the distrust.
right. And now and her attitude and even the way that she's standing. You
Yes,
see how her body language is?
yes,
Okay. So she's protecting who?
herself.
Herself. So this is what she's doing right now. She don't it's not about the children. It's about protecting herself at this moment. So
Absolutely.
she's lying.
Yes.
Okay. I'm on mute.
Ooh, that part right there.
Me in November,
Mhm.
and from day one, I'm sure you know.
This is actually law enforcement, but
Okay, well, day one when day zero, I'm sure you see shark attacks.
Yeah.
We had from day one when I was at the academy, he fought with me every day. He doesn't like when I leave because of the history that we have.
Right.
And I leave from military. So
and that's gotta be super stressful too.
yes, I had my drill with him this weekend, and I stay on FaceTime with him. I share my location. I answer all his calls, all his text messages in a timely manner that he would like. And I was at the gym, and I wasn't answering them fast enough for him.
When were you not answering?
Saturday.
Saturday.
And I'm like, he was at a funeral, so I knew that we weren't going to be really talking on the phone anyways. And he's calling, and I answer, and he hangs up, and he's like, check your text messages, then hangs up again. And I see I wasn't responding to his text messages and answering his questions, which was, are you off for the day?
That's because he wanted documentation.
That part. And plus, he need to know, are you off today? Because by now, who have the children? You at the gym. You not at work. You doing
And why
something.
you not answering your phone at the gym, but you've been answering it all day?
Right. And then but you know enough to see that he says, check your text messages. So evidently, you're not answering the phone for him. Right.
That part.
And if you know that's a problem, why don't you answer the phone for your husband? Right. So, and if you have cheated on him, you know that he's going to suspect that you're going to be doing something again. So that should have been the first call you take, or to let him know ahead of time. Well, okay, I'm at the gym now, or whatever. Yeah, it's some cat in this dog right here. I'm trying to tell you, it's some cat in this dog. Oh girl, oh girl, oh girl. Yeah, something ain't right. I'm just saying.
And like you said, she is around, whether it's women, it is ill proportioned to the amount of men that she's around. And like you also very wisely noted, look at the way she's dressed, look at the way she stands,
Yes.
body language.
Yes.
And people can call me reserved, old school, and old fashioned all day long, but that is what people and men read. That is the language. The first language that men read is the body language, is how you presenting yourself. If it gets to the point where you're uttering words, then they're going to listen and add all of that together, your words, your presentation, and your attire. And they're going to make a judgment.
Exactly, Mr. Kimi. And here's another thing, Shirley. If you're not what you say you're not, take down the signs. Your pants are too tight. You are a mother. You don't have to dress like an old hen, but you're not on the market. And the way you dress it, especially in those pants right there, you're advertising, sis. You are giving men reasons to look at you. Get out of here with that.
Oh, that part. I love it. Let's go.
And I said, yes, I am. Everything okay? What's going on? And he's just like, why aren't you answering my text messages? You're leaving me undelivered. I don't know what reset the phone did. Because his phone did the same reset. The red receipts are not on anymore.
Okay.
And like the sound changed for our phones for like ringtones and stuff. For some reason, it was a weird reset. Maybe other stuff happened, but those are the two that happened to both of our phones.
Okay.
So I don't know why my red receipts were off. His are off too now. And so he was mad that my red receipts were off. And so I still stayed on FaceTime with him, stayed on video because he wants me to FaceTime him 24/7 when I'm away from him. And And I was on FaceTime with him, but it just still wasn't good enough for him.
Mhm.
And so it just started an argument from that day, from that moment, around 4 o'clock
On Saturday.
on Saturday
Okay.
until midnight. He was saying he was going to himself.
Mhm.
He had my kids with him. I was gone. And I just, he's loco.
Yeah.
And so we argued that entire night. And I'm just like, you know what? I can't do this. One of my drill sergeant leaders from the academy, we follow each other on social media.
Mhm.
He swears that just because we're friends with social media, that I'm,
Mhm.
and it's not the case.
Why are you friends with men on social media that your husband doesn't have the privy of being friends with?
Right. And she said that he had their kids with him. So you mean to tell me you're at the gym, he got the kids with him, you're not answering the phone. What if it was an emergency that he was trying to tell you one of the kids were hurt, and you're not answering the phone because you know what I'm saying? That just don't make sense. That's not a mama's move.
And
Right.
if he had not text messaged her, would she have even responded at all?
Right. You need to be checking on your children and making sure that the kids are okay with the daddy. And when everybody okay, then go ahead and do your little workout or whatever you're doing. Right. But you're doing something you ain't got no business because you're doing too much explaining, and it sounds a lot of holes in your story to me.
Explaining to a husband, explaining to the officer, explaining to anybody that will listen, because that is also a sign of a guilty conscience. Because you, like you said, you're over explaining. You're doing too much.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
doing too much trying to justify. If you are not ashamed of anything that you've done, you would say less.
They're right.
At all. And I tell him, because he's so crazy, and he reaches out to every single guy that likes a picture on my social media. Like,
What kind of pictures you got up? That's what I would like to know. But I ain't listen. I digress. Why would men be so? He not complaining about the. But why are men feeling sometimes? And do they know that you married?
Yeah.
Do you
And why?
present
Yeah.
yourself as being a wife on your social media platform, or do you post as if you're available, like Michelle said?
Right. And then here's another thing. If the script was reversed and it was him, having these women that you didn't know about that were in your group or, your drill, in the army or whatever reserve thing. And he didn't know anything about these women. And he put a social media post out and these women liked his picture, said he was handsome, bad this and that or whatever. How would you feel, mama? Married woman? See,
That part.
that don't make sense.
With you with the babies and he out nilly-willying, and you and she seems like she is feeling inconvenienced because she's actually being held accountable to him for something.
Yes, and basically it sounds like you're being held accountable, in my opinion, because he's looking at you sideways for number one, cheating on him before,
Yep.
and number two, you're a mom of his children, and you're still carrying on like you're a single woman with all these stray willy-nilly dudes that is looking at you in a different type of way.
Mm-hmm. And wife not being one of those ways.
Facts.
what do you do? What are your intentions with my wife? Why are you guys friends? Tell me, like, he's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I tell him, if you think that, like, reach out to all these people. At the end of the day, I'm a reservist. That drill sergeant leader is a reservist. He has a lot of connections. Who knows the networking that he and I can do in the future?
Right. So he can't
He
have any
doesn't-
male friends.
He doesn't. I cannot have male friends. He does not understand that. And
Okay,
so,
sis, I gotta stop it right here. Look, I gotta stop it right here. I gotta say this. She says that some of these guys that she have on her social media platform are guys that she met in the service or what have you, and who knows, she might need to network with them, in the future. You don't need to network with those guys in no future. You already have a career. Those guys are null and void when it comes to you and your future. That's an excuse to have straight Joe Blows hanging on your page and telling you cute.
If you are a wife, your husband, you should be a representation of your husband, which means he should lead and his word and his decision should be the final say, right? My thing is with this whole situation ship going on right here is why, if you and he are not collaborating with these people, whether it's on social media, in person. If you're the way that you're interacting with them, your husband should be not only aware of it, but should be okay and signing off on it by you interacting as a married couple, not you having your own life, like you said, Miss Yo, of living as you're single while you're married, you're a wife and you're a mother. To me, she has failed to transition, but that's why the Bible tells you that you have to be a wife. It is not something you do, it is something you are.
Simple as that. And you got that right 100%. And if I were doing anything that I felt like my husband was bringing to my attention that was upsetting him, and it made sense that it upsets him, and I don't want him to be upset, I'm going to reevaluate that. I'm going to readjust the situation. I'm going to, would they say, pull back or whatever, diffuse the situation. I'm going to let it go because it's not that important to me. What's important is his peace of mind, right? His peace of mind, especially if I've cheated or something crazy. I mean, what's so hard about that? I don't understand it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else you want to add before we?
No, that's I'm gonna wait for her to tell a little bit more on herself, but it looked like right now she's ready at a breaking point where she sees this officer and seeing that she's bullshitting. So I'm looking for the tears now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it's getting real for her right now.
Yes.
First of all, you done got with a female cop, so you can't manipulate other women like you can manipulate men. If that was a male cop, that interaction would be totally different in my personal opinion.
Oh,
but
yeah,
now,
and you're right.
Realize that this female cop, she see you, so you're gonna have to come with something different. But you didn't walk around with a plan B because you had just enough time to get from the house to the police station once you realized that's where he was or where he was going. And now you don't have a plan B. So now, things done got real because the military don't play with folk.
Right. And another thing I want to add is men, that ones that's in her platoon, and all these men that her so-called friends on social media now that she done met, these new dudes, they see a wounded animal. They are hunters. They know you wounded and they know you ready. And you are showing all the signs, and that's why you got all these men gathering around you because they're ready to go in for the kill. What is the kill? The kill is to have sex with you, and you know it. Period.
Ooh, that's good, Laverne. That is so good. A wounded animal.
I love it. I love it.
Metaphorically speaking, spot on. Let's go.
It's just one argument led to another, and I'm just like, I'm done. And then he's kicking me out the house and all this stuff. So I know how crazy he can get. He has locked me. He has emptied my bank account. He knows he's taken professional hacking courses. He knows how to hack into anything that I have. I do not have any personal identity outside of him because he gets into everything. He's a professional hacker in the military. So one time, he tries to paralyze me, like doing this in ways that I cannot overcome them. He over time would ask me my security questions of my phone, like, for example, my name is Niall. They called me that as a kid. What did they call you? And I was like, they called me Bobby. Boom, my security question. What is your childhood nickname?
Hold on, sis. I gotta say this. Hold on. I can't help it. I gotta say this.
Tell me when to stop.
She said these words: I do not have any personal identity outside of him. Her words. Okay. When you become a wife, there is no personal identity outside of your spouse. Why? Because you become as one. That's what she's missing. What other identity do you want? You want to go back to your ways? No, you cannot. As a married woman, the personal identity is I am one. He is me. We are as one. We are a team. We are building a family. It's we, not me. And that's where she's lost that, right there.
Woo! Listen, sometimes I just say less. Let's go.
his car. I told him, oh, what color was it? Boom. And that was true. He's so smart.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I'm being tested sometimes, right? Because it could be just a mutual conversation.
Right.
So
that makes you super paranoid, I'm sure.
yes.
Yeah.
And he has tried to kick me out multiple times. He has emptied my bank account.
So there, okay, I had to stop it here. I know we just paused it, but first of all, there's definitely some control issues, because while it's really easy to, kind of break all of this down with her, they don't give him as much interaction as far as context in this video. However, the things that he does say on camera are very telling that this is definitely a two-way street, and he has learned her triggers to the point where he has learned how to control her, the situation, and his desired outcome. She knows it at this point, and she's frustrated. So now she's giving the attempt to explain all of the different ways that he is exercising this control over her. So what I'm going to say to this, and people may agree to disagree, there are some unions that are worth fighting for, and depending on the way that you go into them and your reasons for marrying someone, if they are not authentically or biblically structured, and you are on biblical principle and scripture to doing so, for those reasons, the marriage is not going to work. At some point, I believe that it is better to mitigate your damages and get out and rebuild from there than to lose everything, all of the goals, everything that you tried to acquire individually as well as collectively. Once you became married, you got to know when to bow out at some point. Why in the world would either one of y'all, unless you felt trapped, to accept all of this unacceptable behavior? And that's just my thoughts on it.
No, that's a great observation. And here's the thing: he is controlling, and the reason why he became controlling, not that it's right, is because he has no trust. He don't trust her. They have trust issues because she's cheated. And when she said that he has control over her bank account, well, then you're the fool, mama, because you should not have. You should have a separate bank account that's yours and yours alone, right? So you gave him the information. You said that he's smart and he can figure out things by asking you questions and to tap into your bank account and all these things. Knowing that he what kind of man you with is the key. He's definitely controlling, but you allowing him to control you.
Yes.
And another reason why he's controlling is because he don't know that it's time to let go. She do not want him, and they're doing it for the sake of the children, which is another bad thing and another topic.
Yes, it is. So now you'd rather traumatize the children, thinking you're doing the children a favor.
Facts.
Taking my keys, taking my phone, put tracking devices on my car. I hacked into anything of my phone, my work phone, anything, my computer.
So, okay, I know, my bad. Listen, he put a tracking device on your car. Your phone is a tracking device. He gets into your emails. He knows how to obtain any type of information according to your word and to what you say your experience is. He can find out anything he wants to find out when it comes to you. And he's letting you know he don't trust you. The cell phone should be enough, but evidently he don't even trust it. That's going to give him an accurate location or time line of where you are, what you're doing. He doesn't trust you at all. If he's using all of those different types of resources, first of all, my spirit wouldn't allow me to stay. It would, because now you're giving off stalkerish vibes. Whether you trust me or you don't, I'm looking at you as a stalker.
Right. And
around.
You're right, Mr. Kimmy. And see, relationships like this will wind up with someone unalived.
Yep.
Instead of knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, knowing when to walk away, these are the type of relationships that someone will be unalive and those children will not have a parent. It is too much. And if she said they've been to counseling, all of these things, and that didn't work, somebody gonna have to be the bigger person and save the children and get out of their selfish, relationships about what they want in a relationship. because once you have them babies, it has nothing to do with you. It's all about those children and the betterment of those kids. How much do they love their children? That's what I want to know.
That's what I want to know too, sis. Ooh, this is good. This is good.
Anything.
So you have no privacy.
I have no privacy. And I just am so angry that he was trying to do that again to me this weekend. And
What specifically was he trying to do this weekend?
like he said, he plays mind games. I'm kind of catching on to how he plays. He will make up a little scenario and play that scenario as if it's a real story, as if something really happened, as if he knows already. Like, oh, I already know you did this, so why don't you just tell me? And it's like it never happened, but because you know of maybe a snippet that I know that person, you know that where that person works, and maybe I've been in the same location as that person, he puts his own story together as if like I already know this happened, but it never happened. But that's how he thinks that he can catch me and other people in lies. And it's just this morning he was playing mind games with me. With me,
Like, how was he doing that? What was he doing that about?
I'm telling him he wanted me out of the house. I'm done with work, and I'm not going to live.
That's not a mind game. He telling you he don't want you there.
It's that simple. It's that simple. Yeah, it's not a mind game. It's just that she's not prepared to leave him. And what he did was pissed her off because he beat her to the point by
Yes.
going to the police station, reporting her, and sabotaging her career, putting a stain on her brand new army career. That's what he did to her. But she probably have been threatening to do the same thing to him. He just beat her to it. That's all. And then she's pissed because he outsmarted her in that way. So they're playing a lot of cat and mouse games, and they need to just go ahead and separate and take care of those babies. That's what they need to do, in my opinion.
And it looks, based off of the video evidence and the receipts that have been acquired and utilized on his behalf, it also looks very likely that he will get custody of the children, which means more benefits and more security from the military. Am I wrong on that?
No, he probably would. Both of them could probably get shared custody of the children because they could get shared custody. I believe that they will get shared custody. But again, since this happened outside of the military, the military is gonna try to pretty much keep their hands clean of it, keep their hands out of this business, and let it unfold through the system that they have in place right now. But had it happened on a military base, oh yeah, it'd have been a total different story. He would have got complete control over those babies and some more. Yes.
Got it. Okay, so there is definitely a distinction between how they do things on military soil as opposed to the regular state or city or county ran jail homes.
Yes, and that's right. And if you listen to it in the very beginning, he said he had already spoken to his sergeant and the people in the military already on how to pursue this. So he thought this thing through. She just did not. And that's why she hot. Because I'm telling you, this is going to be a stain on her military record, although he is going to be in trouble outside of the military. But, it still is going to be something that's going to linger as a domestic violence dispute on her end.
Yep. And that stuff follows you. You go for promotions, you go for rank, you go for anything where you ascend and you become more valuable to your craft. That's not, you're not gonna be able to erase that.
That's a fact.
More things.